The Okie Geek Podcast is brought to you by Okie Comics, a bi-monthly anthology publication showcasing the talents of Oklahoma creators with stories featuring Oklahoma. Copies are available at Half Price Books, New World Comics, Speeding Bullet Comics, All-Star Comics, Amazing Action Comics, Luton XP, Boarding House, Paseo Plunge, Museum of Osteology, and Commonplace Books, with more locations coming soon. You can find out more at okiecomics.com.
Greetings and salutations, my fellow geeks, and welcome to episode 123 of the Okie Geek Podcast, brought to you by Okie Comics. I'm Michael Cross.
I'm Devin Green.
We are live at Oklahoma's newest game center, Edmond Unplugged, on Broadway and 2nd Street in Downtown Edmond. Joining us are special guests from Red 6 Golden Corral, Caleb Haldane. Hello. And Nick Johnson. Welcome, guys.
You have chosen poorly.
I think we have chosen
wisely.
Very well. You have chosen wisely. Also joining us is the owner of Edmond Unplugged, Mike Shipp. Mike, boy, it is so great to be here.
Glad for you guys to come and give us this opportunity to talk about our new store and what we're doing here.
Well, tell us, you just opened Christmas Eve, so it's less than a month old. It still has that new game center smell.
Yeah, it was actually Christmas night. So we opened
Christmas
up for a sneak preview Christmas night, and we had people in to play for free and help us punch out games, because that was one of the things that I did not realize was going to be so time consuming, was to punch out all of the new games. And so we had about 40 or 50 people in Christmas evening. I guess they were done with the holiday, traditions and needed something else to do, so they come out and helped us. And so I provided them a free game pass if they came in and helped us out for a future visit, as well as some store credit, just to say thank you, and we had a very good turnout.
How much is, for regular, how much is a game, cost to play games?
So if you come in with your own board games, it's $3 to play all day with your own board games. If you play from our library, it's $5 a day.
That's still a great price.
Oh, yeah.
For an all-day pass.
Yeah, so on the weekends or Thursdays, you can actually get 13 hours worth of gaming in for $5.
There you go. You can't beat that deal.
I know.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And how has business been for the first month?
So it's been way better than what we expected so far. We certainly, had to create projections and spreadsheets based on what we thought, and we were trying to be very conservative, and we've really done a lot better than what we had anticipated at this point.
See, I wouldn't be that surprised, because as much as I know Northwest Oklahoma City needs a game center.
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are really filling that niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was kind of my point, because honestly what started this whole thing was that I got frustrated because I didn't have a close place to play myself. Mm-hmm. And so it started with Magic, and then it went into Warhammer, and I had no close place to play myself. And so as much as I love game headquarters on the south side, I just didn't want to make an hour drive down there to play it. So in my own best interest, I decided, hey, I'm just going to open a game store, and so that's what I did.
I don't see this place in competition to either Game HQ or Luton XP. They are on their sides of town.
Or so far apart, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, geographically alone, that negates the competition.
Right, and so people will come here. I think I don't think it'll take away so much as I just realized, well, it's nice to have a place. I mean, I live over on 164th and May, so I need a place that's a lot closer. That is a game center. There's a new game shop that has opened over on Western, but it's just a game shop. It's not really made for gaming. Mm-hmm. That's the way I explained to my son. That place sells games, and you can play a few games if you want to. Mm-hmm. This place sells games, but it's a place where you can really game. That's really what you were looking for.
Yeah, so my initial concept was, I thought about this about 2 years ago, and I just wanted to open a regular game store. And as I started looking around the country and at the different models that were opening up, whether it be Snakes and Lattes or Snakes and Loggers or, Cafe Mox or some of those places like that, I just thought that this is really, the better model. I think this is where gaming is going, because not only can you facilitate the games like D&D and Magic the Gathering tournaments for the hardcore gamers, but you also have a kind of a gateway shop to get new gamers into the hobby, and a place where casual gamers can go and hang out and have a beer or a soda and a pizza and not feel like they're under pressure to look a certain way or play a certain game, or not know how to play Settlers of Catan because they just want to play Monopoly and hang out and have a cool local brew.
Well, Settlers of Catan is the gateway game. You get into that one, and boy, you're onto almost any game. That one, I know, it drew me in. So
Oh,
I think
sure,
it's,
sure.
You know, and if once you can get in, it's a pretty big deal.
Well, can we talk a second about, like, when you said you said the brews and booze and stuff like that, but we just kind of glossed over that. No, this is, you have a selection of beers.
So right now, I think in my refrigerator, I have somewhere close to 50 brew offerings. So I think I've got 45 to 48-ish beers. About 80% of those are local beers, so I try to keep it as local as I can. And then for those non-beer drinkers, we do have several wines and stuff as well. But I was advised not to choose just local wines and to go kind of outside because, you know, so the wine people are they want something different, and I honestly don't know the wine market very well, so I just listen to them.
I wouldn't have any idea what to do with wine. Beer, I got you. It's no problem.
Right.
But wine is a little bit more difficult.
Yep.
But the fact that people can come in and have a beer or have, you know, you can't really get that at, I don't think, any other place in Oklahoma.
It's very it's very scarce, at least.
As far as a gaming place.
Yeah, they provide
Right.
that. Yeah.
Someone's house.
Well, there's any-
You know, other than that, no.
You can come over to my place and we'll have some
Right.
beer and some games, but not the space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the space is amazing. I'm sorry, like,
No,
Mike,
don't be
this
sorry.
is
You're
incredible.
absolutely right.
Well, I looked around for a long time, and I saw this space here. And so this building was built in 1917, and so it's a 100-year-old building, and they redid the front to look as closely to the original building facade as they could. But due to ADA restrictions and stuff, we had to change it up a little bit. But whenever I came in here, I actually wanted the space that's directly north of this space, which is about 12 to 1,500 feet smaller than this one. But when I saw this one, I thought, man, I can separate, you know, the Magic players in the back and have a tournament area, and then I can let the front, you know, 2,500 square feet or whatever it is, be, you know, just a casual gaming environment. And, you know, we can still use it to do board game tournaments and D&D sessions and those kind of things, but it just gives us a lot of space to separate and have, you know, different types of games in different areas.
Yeah, the space next door, is someone in there right now?
They just leased the space, and there's going to be a designer showcase going in there, so it'll be like home decor and such. It doesn't really add to my business or anything, but it's a good downtown business, I think.
Well, I love the area. When people come, they need to know that although there's parking out front where most people park, that's not the best place, would you say, to park?
No, the back we have, back in the back we have a huge pavilion which offers covered parking most of the time. And we have about 125 spots directly west of our shop. So it's used for several events in the farmers market in the summers on Saturdays. The arts festival will fill it up and such too, but all the other time it's available for us to park in.
I had forgotten about the arts festival. Come the end of May, or is it the end of April?
It's in May.
It's in May. This place gets closed down, which means
Right.
you're going to have so much foot traffic in this area. Are you looking
Yeah.
forward to that?
I really am. So actually last year, this has been a long journey for me. So when we started this, I decided over Christmas break of 2016 I was going to do this. And so we started moving very quickly. And in May, I joined the Downtown Edmond Business Association, which is called DEBA, and I did some things for them at the Arts Festival last year, thinking I was going to be open in July. The intent was to open July 1st. Due to some permitting issues and sprinkler systems, I just didn't get open. But yeah, I was very aware that we had those functions down here. And very eager to take advantage of all the foot traffic that we would have, you know, up and down the street. So I did have banners and stuff in the windows at the time, and I did get you know, a lot of response on Facebook around that time.
And the sign came up fairly quickly. Was that up in September, I think it was?
Oh, it was probably
on
up
Facebook, I thought.
probably August or September. Yeah.
And was so excited about it. I think we were trying to get you on at that time. And
Yep.
what were the situations why you had to delay? Do you remember?
Yeah, there were several. One was the facade was taken down, and when they started to put it back up, the city decided that it was no longer a remodel, and they needed to apply for new build permits, which ungrandfathered our ADA stuff that we had, like our ramp and such. So that had to be redone, and the architect had to redesign the whole facade. And then on the inside, we had some life safety measures we need to take care of. So we needed to put a sprinkler system in. Since we're an assembly business, we needed to put a sprinkler system in. And that was a big undertaking from both a design standpoint and a fire safety standpoint, and the city permitting that was involved with that. In addition to the sprinkler system, we also had to create a firewall, which really took a long time. So the wall directly to the north here that you see is almost a foot thick. It has all sorts of fire material in it and everything else so that we don't burn the next door neighbors down.
That's always good. Always a good idea.
Always a good plan.
It's a welcome thing. It's a
Yeah,
welcome
you
thing.
know.
Can I just one more comment on this
You can
place?
have as
It's
many comments
amazing.
as
I'm
you
so
want.
sorry. I'm just gonna like it was my first time here, so I'm like literally geeking
Yes.
out about it. The storefront from the outside, right, looks nice, but it almost makes you think it's going to be a small space, and then you open it up, and it's bigger on the inside. Sorry, I had to go there. Yeah, it's amazing space.
Yeah, so I have seen this space as it's being built, and so I'm like used to it now, right? But every person that comes in here says the exact same thing. Man, you've got so much space. It's so big, and you know, it's a lot of space, and it's laid out well. I think the linear layout that we have here, I think it works really well because you got tables and stuff oriented on one side. You're not weaving your way around tables to get through. You've got a straight pathway from the front to the back, and from the back door to the front, and I think it works out well.
Yeah, when you were building the place, I would come by every now and then, just park and look in. Even looking inside, it seems like it's going to be a lot smaller. I was like, they're just going to sell games, right? They're not actually doing a gaming center. When I heard it was going to be a gaming center, and you walk in here, and there's so much space in here. It's just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. So we have about 3,700 square feet, and we're about 150 feet long from front to back. So so that's quite a lot of space. There's only one store that I think has more space than us, and that's game headquarters.
Yeah. And that place, you can definitely tell it's going to be big. It's got 2 main entrances.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
Sure.
But you said this has about the space as Game HQ?
No. I think we have less, but we have
Okay.
about 3,700 square feet here.
Yeah, and which is plenty of space to come down and game and have a great time. Plus, you've got plenty of selections for just people to buy games as well.
Right. So I try to keep all the new games in. I mean, a perfect example is Gloomhaven, which is the #1 game in the world for the last 18 months or so. I got a call the other day, and one of my reps said, "Hey, I've got a store that closed down. Unfortunately, they weren't able to pick up their copies of Gloomhaven." I said, "Send them." They sent them. I posted them on Facebook, and I sold them in one day. I sold all 5 copies in one day.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was Wednesday this week. And so I try to keep all of the newest, freshest games in, as well as the old popular games. I mean, Puerto Rico was a great game back in the day, right? And many people still play it. I have Settlers of Catan. I've got the Tickets to Ride and all that stuff. But I also try to make sure I get the Gaia projects and the Twilight Imperium 4th editions and those sorts of things to make sure that I've got most of what people are looking for.
And also, I noticed you still got all your D&D books.
Right.
The new one, the
5th edition? Or are you talking about?
fifth edition.
yeah.
The new book that is kind of an unearthed arcana type of
Xanathar's Guide to
Xanathar's-
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah, which is amazing, by the way. I just love D&D. You guys have any questions for Mike?
Well, I've got a couple here. So I'm walking in, right, and you have this selection of brews, and you also have a selection of board games. I'm new to it. Give me your first pick board game, first pick brew.
First pick board game for a person that's new to it would probably be Ticket to Ride.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I love it.
Or Splendor. I think Splendor is a fantastic game that's sort of a, it's a tile and chip game, but it gives them a more abstract feeling than a traditional board game if they're not looking for that. And my first pick brew, probably either Elk Valley Firefly Crew, which is like a regular lager if I just want something that's just kind of plain that has a lot of taste to it, or I'm going to have to go with a non-local beer that's a fantastic brewer. I hope everyone doesn't get mad at me, but Dogfish Head Sea Quench Ale is a fantastic sour beer.
Oh, I like
If
that.
you're into sours, yes, it is
Yeah, it's really fantastic.
And that's okay that it's not local.
That's okay. Yeah.
It is a small brewery, though, so you're still supporting
it is
someone
a small
else's
brewery.
local brewery.
And so another beer that I've been drinking just a lot of lately, since I can drink beer at work, is
Sorry.
is the Grand Sport Porter from Coop. Yeah, it's a seasonal
out
beer,
to
so I've
Coop.
got to drink it all while I can. So
Or hoard it.
yeah, right.
Right?
And I'm doing both.
And
That's
just
right.
FYI, we know people. at
Yeah,
Coop,
that's right.
So
Yeah.
we have an in.
My little
like,
brother works at Coop, so
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, and we partner with them all the time.
That's
yeah.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah, as far as breweries go, I have been down to both Anthem and Elk Valley. John Elkins was great. I talked to Nick over at Anthem. He actually stopped by this week and brought me my co-branded glassware. And then I deal with Jeremiah and Robbie over at Coop. And all three of those brewers are great to work with. I'm going to do much more with them in the future, but we're talking about pint nights and flight nights and stuff like that on some nights up here. So.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to not only keep it local, but to partner with some really good local businesses as well.
I think it's gonna be a lot of
I
fun.
love that.
So with the games, you have so many here, but there's going to be people who want games that are just a little bit more hard to keep in stock or something. And do you do ordering, or how do you go about servicing those games?
Yeah, so I did not realize that I was going to order as much as I order when I first started this. So I had been ordering for several months to get my initial inventory. And since I've opened, I bet I order 3 to 4 days a week. And so
Wow.
I've got probably 8 distributors that I use on a regular basis, as well as several specialty companies that I use, like to get dice from and stuff like that. So Skull Splitter Dice is the perfect example. A very nice dice set, and I call those guys directly and order dice from them. But all the other big distributors, I'm making orders almost every day. And
Cool.
that's really surprising to me, because you can't always tell what a customer wants, but you try to anticipate and forecast that. It just never works out right.
No, never.
And will you order anything? Like if somebody wants to come in here and buy Monopoly, would
Absolutely. However, people have come in, and I said, to be honest with you, I think you're going to be better off if you just go to Target, because,
Sure.
But
if you want something and Monopoly, then maybe it
Yeah.
does make sense to come
Yeah.
here and order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I'll order whatever someone wants. Unfortunately, being a local business, I am fighting against the Amazons of the world.
True
and,
story.
that kind of stuff. I actually lost a sale last week because a lady compared a price on Amazon while she was in the store. And, I said, well, that's just not the way I work. But
Yeah. Well, like go
I mean-
play at an Amazon table, right? I mean, they just
Yes.
don't exist.
Well,
that's the thing.
Right.
And one of the things was she talked to me for 45 minutes. I pulled games off the shelf, opened the boxes for her, showed her all the pieces
That's,
and how to
yeah.
play and everything.
Bless your
And she
heart.
still, decided that saving $8 was better.
You can save
But
$8 on Amazon, but for every one of those,
Yeah.
there's a customer
I have
that
been
wants
very,
to support
and
local.
I wasn't unhappy with her for doing that. I totally understand if you want to save $8, but I'm here for not only for the retail side of things, but for the experiential factor. If you want to come in and you want to play games and not buy games or keep your own library of games, I've got like 180 games on the shelf over there, and I make sure I keep the expensive or the up-to-date, current favorites and all that kind of list on my library shelf, so that people can always come in and find something to play.
Truth
Yeah.
is, many games take up so much space that it's just better sometimes to not have to worry about having them all in your closet.
Oh, sure.
You can
sure.
just come here and play
have
those
them here.
games.
Exactly.
Right.
Now to the really important question for me. Do you have exploding kittens?
Okay, so I have ordered Exploding Kittens. It hasn't come in yet.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of
We
those
need to
games
talk
that's
to Matt.
It's one of those games that's been hard for me to get. But
Inman, are you listening?
so I actually have coming both the tame version and the adult version. So
Yeah,
if you want to
the
play
adult version is-
exploding cards,
Nice.
exploding
Cards.
kittens, Cards Against Humanity, or whatever, then
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty much Uno with kittens.
Well, I'm not opposed.
That
I'm
explode.
not opposed.
No, I'm not opposed. It was what got me back into tabletop gaming,
Oh, wow,
honestly,
yeah.
because it's so easy. It's like Uno, super easy to learn.
I love that.
It's made by the Oatmeal, Matthew Edmond. So, he crowdfunded it, I think.
Sure.
And then it also is it's super easy to learn, and then it's easy to teach. So it's a beginner game, which is great.
So
And
you
again,
is also a
kittens
gateway
explode.
game.
It's a gateway game. Totally.
Yeah,
totally,
yeah.
Totally.
now you're also working with like groups like the DDAL, the Dungeons and Dragons Adventures League, and stuff like that. How has that been like reaching out to those groups?
It's been very good. So we opened like officially on the 26th of December, and so we ran our first D&D night the following Wednesday, not the first week, but the second week on the Wednesday, and we had 3 full tables of DDAL people come in, many first timers, and then the second week that we had 4 full tables. So we had like 30 people in here playing D&D on the second week that we were open.
Wow.
You know, and so that just told me that, you know, we're filling a need that people had in this area. And so it's, I mean, the support has been great. We've gotten a lot of newcomers in. Today, there was a lot of request for, you know, not DMing instructions, but, you know, how do I start a game, and how do I become a DM, and what do I need to do? So instead of just saying, hey, you know, just go buy the DM's guide and figure it out, I talked to Ashley King, who's our main DM here, and we decided that we were going to put together a class, which is going to start here in a couple of minutes, but we're calling it, you know, DM 101 because we just didn't have a better name for it. But
I love it.
And
It works.
and she's going to teach 20 people. We capped it at 20, and we filled up. So we're going to teach 20 people how to be dungeon masters today.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Tell you what, why don't we bring Ashley in if you want to go grab her real quick, and we're just going to sit here and keep talking while you go grab.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike, it's fantastic. We love this place.
Mike,
Hey,
we're in love.
Yeah.
We're going to move in. I mean, you've got plenty of space.
I
so-
do.
and
do.
I'm assuming you've got
You
room
need
in the back for like
apartments
bunks.
on top.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh,
I'll build
big,
a loft. You guys
yes.
can bring bunks, and we'll have a good time. We'll drink beer and play games.
We will
my
kit
gosh,
it out
right?
and do this.
What do you guys think of this place?
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
20 people to show up just like that. We don't get 20 people listening to our podcast, Nick.
I know.
Well, I mean that's
can't
not.
get 20
I've
people on
made
YouTube.
made up
Not true.
17
Yeah.
Twitter accounts to try and make it look like it.
This is great. Ashley.
Miss Ashley.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Hi.
This
Hi.
is Ashley King.
Yes.
And
Hello.
Ashley teaches how to be a DM.
Yes.
Which, awesome. Because I learned how to be DM sitting in my parents' basement. Not really a basement.
Right.
It's Oklahoma. We don't have basements. But sitting in my parents'
In-
house
in the
reading
storm shelter?
DM,
Yeah.
reading the DM's guide. And the DM's guide is good for a place to get your rules. But
Yes.
it's not good to learn how to be a DM. Talk to us
Yes.
about that.
Well, so being a dungeon master really, it is definitely an art form.
Yes.
Generally, I like to joke that I can pick out the DM friend. Because
Right.
yeah, it is very much an art form. It combines, you know, being a judge of rules. It combines being a storyteller, being a little bit of an actor, because you know you have to. Your responsibility as the dungeon master is to create the world that your players are going to be in, and create all of these, you know, colorful personalities that they're going to encounter along their journey, and all of the devious villains that they must overcome, and all the traps and trials that I have laid out for you.
I love it.
So
Excellent.
yes, it is. Yes, there's a lot more that goes into it than just rolling some d20s and saying you're dead.
Well, we can definitely
I
say
really
that we
like
had the.
just rolling d20s and saying you're
Right?
dead.
Yeah.
But I
that's-
mean,
The-
I mean,
those
that's part of the
I
joy
mean,
of
now
being
granted,
a DM.
Yeah.
I mean,
that DM does
Isn't
exist
it?
out there.
Okay.
They
I
do
don't-
exist. They do exist. I know some.
Yeah.
right.
We had the pleasure of having Ashley DM for us at a charity event, and I could definitely say she is amazing
Yes,
at
that
it.
was
Like,
great.
yeah,
Was
absolutely.
she doing the Twitch thing for
She was-
Extra Life?
yes, she was the-
Yes.
So good.
That was me. I know it's hard to tell because I was like this the entire time with a microphone in my face, but that was me. Yes.
Yeah.
So
That Extra Life event was my son's first experience playing D&D.
Oh,
And it
that's
was
right.
really, I
Excellent.
threw him, we rolled up a character and we went and played, and he loved it. And I'm
Good.
so
Good.
excited.
And see, I'm one of those noobs who totally wants to get into it and
Right.
just doesn't even know where to start.
I know.
And I love that Mike talked about that because
Yeah.
there is a sense of cliquishness, you know, exclusivity, and I get it. You know, what you love, and you're into it, and you are part of the community.
Yes.
But breaking into that community
It's
is,
hard.
is a
It's
major
hard,
thing.
yeah.
And then you double down when you're a girl.
Oh, yes.
And that's a thing.
Yeah,
so,
that is a thing.
Yeah. So I am so thrilled that you are representing like all the good things about, and also just opening up this world to
Oh,
people
yeah.
who are curious about it, but just don't even know where to start.
Yeah, no, it's
And buying the guide is, like Mike said, it's a pretty lonely existence.
it is.
And
Being the dungeon master, you spend hours and hours and hours of your time, preparing something and getting something ready for players, and then you don't know. There is that fear of, are they going to like it? Will it make
Right.
sense? Oh God! So it is a very kind of lonely existence.
Mm-hmm.
But coming to places like this, and then you walk in and there's a bunch of people sitting around a table rolling some dice. And then, if you have that DM who, is that friendly presence and is the person who says, hey, no, come here, sit down, here's some dice, here's a character sheet, let's go.
Yeah.
And so I actually got my start in 5th edition through the Adventures League
Okay,
program.
yeah.
Yes, which is the Wizards of the Coast organized play side of D&D. Because Wizards has been very aware of kind of this growing interest in D&D and this growing kind of cultural juggernaut that's gotten started through pop culture and all of that stuff.
Stranger Things.
Yes, Stranger Things.
and the doing away
Yeah.
with the belief that it leads
Yeah.
to Satanism.
Yeah,
There's that.
the satanic panic of the 80s is for the most part over.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Been long enough.
Thank
Because
goodness.
now we have Nazis, so
Yeah,
Satan
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
can be, right? Yeah.
But yeah, so it's Wizards has been very aware of that there are a lot of people out there who are really trying to break into this hobby, and they make it extremely easy with the organized play program, with the what's known as the DM's Guild, where there's just so many adventures that are already available and so many tools and resources. Right now, you can actually go to the Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons website and find a free PDF download of a basic version of the Player's Handbook.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the DM's Guide. You don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
Or you can pay $20 and get the starter set, which includes a basic version of the Player's Handbook, includes a basic version of the DM's Guide, and an adventure to get you started.
Love it.
So they are definitely pushing access. They're pushing. Right now, they are trying to make an effort to get more women into D&D,
Oh,
get more LGBTQ individuals into D&D. Yeah, they're making a very big kind of inclusivity push to make sure that it isn't just guys in their mom's basement rolling some D20s anymore.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's
So-
worth mentioning that it never was just
Yeah.
dudes rolling 20s in their basement.
Yeah.
It's just that there wasn't any representation or any
Yes.
inclusivity for
Right.
anyone who wasn't a dude rolling 20s in
Yeah.
their basement.
I
Sure,
mean,
sure,
with their
absolutely.
like dude friends.
Yeah, 'cause I've-
it was the closet. I hate to use this term, but it was the closeted girl D&D player
Yeah.
who couldn't find a community or any support
Yeah.
for her passion.
Yeah, I recently
or
just joined
LGBTQ, anyone.
a Facebook group it's called Our Table 2, and it is a group that is pretty much exclusively it's a space for women, space for LGBTQ players, and we basically, that's kind of the place we go to let off some steam.
Amen.
And to kind of network and kind of talk to one another and
Because
there are some-
Gamergate's still a little
yeah.
fresh.
Sure.
Yeah, there are definitely some experiences that are, sometimes guys just don't realize, and
True.
it's not necessarily something that they're doing maliciously. It's just sometimes they don't realize, and
Yeah.
it can be hard when you're the only girl at a table to kind of raise your hand and rock the boat and just be like, hey. That thing you're doing, can you please stop?
Yeah.
Right,
Because
right.
you don't know. Yeah, you don't know
We're
if that
also,
guy's
we're
gonna.
also taught as ladies
Yeah.
to not rock the
Yeah,
boat,
we're taught not to rock the boat.
interrupt, to not
So-
be bossy or vocalize our
Hopefully
have an
2017
opinion.
is changing that.
Yes.
Because we would
It's
like to see
better.
that change. Guys, we
we've
want to
been
be
having
be
this
called out, I
conversation,
think.
and we're going to keep having this conversation.
I think guys
Yes.
want to be called out in that.
Do.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I think a lot of
Yeah.
times we don't know.
Yeah, it's
and there's words that we use
Yeah.
that have been used ever since we were toddlers.
So much.
That doesn't mean they're right or should be, and we should never use the word, well, what'd you do? Because I always said that. Never use that as an excuse.
Yep.
Yes.
Sure,
Same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Accepting
Yeah.
you're part of this social structure that's built this up this way, and be involved in tearing that down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
for
Yes.
sure.
Props.
I think it's wonderful.
Yes.
The more people you get to do that, the
Yeah.
better it's
So
gonna be.
yeah, and it is just one of those things that the more the more we open it up and the more we encourage female players and female dungeon masters, the more that we kind of push into these spaces and say, hey, guess
Yeah.
what? Hi, we're here. The more that kind of there is a realization of the community wasn't always just a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
It has been it has been women. There have been women writers. There have been women designers for some of even these like very older modules that
Yeah.
were kind of unsung heroes that we don't talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I think, and it can only be richer.
yeah.
With
Yeah.
inclusivity
Yeah.
and diversity, we get richer stories, we get richer backgrounds, we just get more.
Yeah, life gets better when
Yeah,
everybody
life
gets
better when
to
everybody
And you-
gets involved.
You're
and
not
it's
losing
involved.
anything
yeah.
either.
No.
You're still
No.
you're still gonna have an adventure where they go into a bar and
Right.
everyone gets into a fight. It's
No
still
one-
gonna happen.
No one
it's
is
still gonna
great.
happen.
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
mail
yeah.
bit
Right,
at all.
exactly. Everyone.
It is just a matter of
Yes.
Yeah.
we're bringing
You get
more,
more.
experience
Exactly.
to the table.
Yeah.
We're bringing more creativity. We're bringing
Yeah.
more experience.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
It's
And
a lot
I
Everybody
will
having
step down
equal
off my
experience does
feminist
not take away from other
inclusivity
people's.
soapbox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It doesn't take away from your story as the white dude rolling 20s in
That's
your
right.
basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
To include maybe some people of
That's right.
color and
Yeah.
ladies
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's-
LGBTQ. They can only enrich
yeah, I mean, right.
your story.
Right now, our current hardcover adventure, Tomb of Annihilation, takes place in Cholt, which is a southernly jungle land. And yes, there are the main population of Cholt is predominantly black.
People of color.
Yeah.
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 So
Wow.
It's
People
wonderful.
in
Yeah.
yeah.
I know it's crazy. it's crazy, but
Hot climate, lots of
hot
sun,
climate,
lots
of
melanin.
sun.
Crazy
Yeah,
science
crazy.
right there.
I
yeah.
mean,
Much like people from the Fertile Crescent.
Right?
More
It's-
melanin, just saying. Yeah.
If you can accept the fact that Cholt is where dinosaurs come from, you can
Yeah.
accept the fact that Cholt is also predominantly black. I mean, come on.
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
and accept it, move on.
Tomb of Annihilation was the second game my son played, and we played it down at Game HQ.
Yes.
And we fought our dinosaurs.
Yes.
I almost died. I was this close. All you had to do was step on me. Fortunately, they killed him. So it was
I
really-
don't want
it
to
was
be
wonderful.
eaten by a dinosaur. That is
I
not
know.
like of all the ways I want to go out my D&D adventures.
I know.
Eaten by a dinosaur is my least favorite.
It would've been
No,
really bad.
no zombie
But if you
T-Rex
do,
just chomp down on you.
Can we
Yeah.
put that on your
I
tombstone?
don't want to be pooped out by a dinosaur later. That's all I'm saying. I just don't want that.
But what I loved about it was we had we'd actually gone through. It was a DDAL thing.
Uh-huh.
We had not played with this, and Tomb of Annihilation's huge. I mean, it takes
It's huge.
many. It's a campaign.
So many.
So we came in. We had not played before, but we signed up down at Game HQ, and it was basically I went to sleep with one party, woke up with another one, and that's how and we just kept on going.
Yeah.
And we were so accepting, everyone in the group, of me, who's an experienced player who hasn't played in decades.
Yep.
And Aiden, an inexperienced player they were more than willing to go, hey, here's a great idea for your character to do. And I loved how accepting it was, and I love the fact that DDAL is there for that new player or that returning player.
Yes, it's a wonderful program, and like it really doesn't matter where you go. The AL program it has so many great people. I actually had the incredible privilege to go down to DragonCon 2016
Ooh.
and run Dungeons and Dragons with the Atlanta DDAL.
That's some cred.
Yeah,
right there.
not to
You're
toot
like,
my own horn.
Mic
but-
drop.
But you
right
should.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Totally.
had the incredible privilege to go and meet the Atlanta community, and it's just like here in Oklahoma. Because Oklahomans actually do have a reputation as being very very hospitable and very open and very,
True.
definitely wanting to help people. But going to Atlanta, I saw just as much of that as we were cycling in, new players every couple of hours to come in and have their first D&D experience. One of my favorite memories was my first table of the convention was 2 families, husband, wife, daughter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was mom,
Love
dad,
it.
mom, dad, daughter, and 2 families. So I got to introduce these 2 15-year-old girls to D&D as as a woman dungeon master myself, and and their dads were sharing this experience with them, and everybody was into it. Everybody
Confetti
was rolling.
fell from the ceiling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
confetti
It
fell
was
from the ceiling.
magical.
Unicorns
Totally.
prancing
Yeah.
in the background.
Absolutely.
It was
That's
Yeah.
great.
yeah, the heavens
That
just
is-
opened up, and it was beautiful.
Right.
The family that slays Tarrasques together
Yes.
stays
Stays
together. Okay,
Yeah.
we could just throw that out there.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Definitely support, families coming in, and because we see it a lot. There's a lot of dads who'll come in with their son, and dad may have played D&D, 30 years ago, and he hasn't played, in 15 years, but he has this kid, and he wants to share this experience with his child. And it's just a wonderful thing that they can go and find a Adventurers League store and know that there is a code of conduct, that there is a set of standards that these people are going to meet, and so that you don't have to worry about the crazy content being pulled out of somebody's being pulled out of somewhere, and you don't know what it's going to be like.
I love the DDAL, the way that they keep it all. Everything is even, so that these characters
Yes.
have been created. They're not ultra powerful. Well, they can be ultra powerful.
They can be. You
but
will
you've
always have
built
min-maxers.
them, but you've
Yeah.
built them.
Yeah.
You've built
Yes.
them. They've been built to that point. Not that somebody came in and, oh yeah, I rolled all 18s. What are you talking about?
I totally rolled, all of these stats on my own.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because you're talking about a father. I've got to share this. My experience with D&D was back in the mid '80s. I had some friends, and we started to kind of learn about D&D, and so we're kind of talking about it at school. My father comes to pick me up at after school and to go spend with him at the weekend. He said, "If you don't mind, we're going to go meet up with some friends of mine, and we're going to go play a game. I don't know if you've heard of D&D."
Dude.
Oh wow.
So
That's
I
so
played
hardcore.
with my father. There are 3 generations of D&D.
This is the game of
families,
my
yes.
father and his father
And his father before him.
and his
That's
father
what I want
before
my son to
him.
say.
So,
It is,
Love it.
and
Yeah.
because I think right now what you do have is all of these fathers who played it in the 80s, who learned to
Yes.
play in the 70s and the 80s, are either returning to it because again the stigma's gone.
Yes.
Also, they have a little bit more flexible income than we
Right.
had
The
when we were
disposable
kids.
income
Right.
is now
Disposable
there.
thing.
I mean, it was also
They can
expensive
get
when I
all
was
the
a kid.
toys that they wanted as a child that, mom was like, "No, sorry, honey, that's too expensive. Come on."
Yeah.
And
if
they
there's-
want to share it with someone
Yeah.
now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And they have those kids that they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea that you can spend it with a woman, you can spend it with your daughter as much as you can with your son. I think is, I mean, the only reason I haven't is I don't have a daughter. So, but if I had a daughter, without it, and if Nikki were here, Nikki Robinson is one of our guest hosts. She has shared it with her daughter and her son, so
Right.
they are both playing.
Yeah,
and
it's-
yeah, she
it's-
is.
because that's the thing about D&D is that it is very much a social game. I mean, if you play D&D by yourself, you're just writing a novel.
Yes, yes, you are.
You're writing a novel.
Yeah.
But if it is a social game, so it requires at least one other person to be there and to give you inputs so that you can then play the game. So it is very conducive to I want to introduce my friends, I want to introduce my family, I want everyone to come and share this experience with me and go on these wild rides and then talk about it for years to come. It's like, you remember that one time that you jumped on top of that fire giant
Oh, yeah.
and you stabbed it in the neck? That was cool.
Yes,
Right?
it's stories. It's stories for yet forever. You can actually keep these in your head and share them. And the other thing is, you talk about it being a social thing. Is yes, being by yourself doesn't work, but also being on a computer. I have never seen, and probably never will see, a computer version of D&D that is like the real thing. Because a computer can't do what you are doing.
Yeah. No, it's
true.
it's the because I mean that's the thing about about computer games. Really, even with an MMO, it's still very much a singular experience of you going into a world and doing things, and the computer can kind of adjust for, I want to try this. It can kind of accommodate things. Whereas, if we're sitting around a table and we're playing D&D and it's all in our imaginations anyways, it's like, okay, well, I walk onto the ceiling and I wait, and then as soon as this fire giant comes underneath me, I drop down and I stab it in the neck.
Right.
You can't do that in a video game. I mean,
there's always going to be a set of things that you can and can't do, and when you ask outside of that bounds, it's just negated. You can't do that. It's just thrown away.
Ones and zeros.
Whereas in D&D, you can't ask something of the DM that's technically impossible.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not worth it for the story, but you can't ask something that's
sometimes
impossible.
you might ask that one question that the DM is like, well, can you do that? And then everybody pulls out their player's handbook and cracks it open and starts flipping pages and then the DM quickly tries to figure out okay, so what you're asking to do is kind of similar to this thing. So, roll a strength check.
Yeah.
So it's the process of, okay, so it's like this. So you would use this ability and these modifiers, and if you have this skill, go ahead and use it. So it is very free form. It is very, there's nothing that's necessarily impossible. There's just things that, as a first level character, you probably shouldn't do.
If I want to flap my arms hard enough, I can't fly away. It just doesn't work that way.
The limitations of gravity and physics.
Right.
But I can get you a magic item that if you grasp the edges of the cloak and flap real hard, then
there you go. So there's always a way.
If I got a cloak of flying, I'm good.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not going to work.
So I want to get into some of the questions of being a DM.
Yes.
I want to hear about this.
Yeah, first of all, my number one question is, what do you find more rewarding / interesting, creating the world or creating your villains?
Oh, that's that is a tough one. I'm gonna go with villains.
Okay.
Because you can't have a good story without a good antagonist. So whether that villain is, an antagonistic force of, say, for example, the Death Curse in Tomb of Annihilation, where it's this looming thing that your players have to overcome, or it's more direct, a fairy prince who has been kidnapping hapless villagers, and now your adventurers have to go and rescue them.
Right.
So, a good story requires a good, convincing villain, so I'm going to go with villain.
Makes sense. And how long do you think it takes you to craft a villain just enough to get the first campaign or the first,
the
sit
first
down?
adventure.
Yeah.
So I'm the kind of person who, at least when it comes to storytelling, I prefer to get things out quickly and then kind of build from there. So what I actually kind of like to do is kind of have a few options as to this is the guy who I think is going to be your main antagonist, but I like kind of leaving the door open that there might be somebody else behind him. Just because with a homebrew campaign, which is what we refer to whenever you're kind of creating yourself, with a homebrew campaign, you never really know if it's going to be a one-shot or if it's going to be 500 sessions and 3 years later you finally get to the end.
Sure.
So you have to kind of leave that door open a little bit to kind of, you come up with your basic villain just to kind of get him out the door, but then in the telling, they absorb traits and gain abilities and they didn't know how to teleport, but now they do now. So
in terms of fiction, I mean, I reference this in terms of fiction. Don't write yourself in a corner.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly.
Leave it open.
Yeah. You want to leave it. You want to have a satisfying conclusion, but you want to just make sure you have just the door open just a crack, so that And with D&D, since it is such a free-form game, I prefer writing more outlines than just strict okay, my players have to go here and do this and find this thing. I kind of outline and pick story beats that I want to hit.
Right.
But I leave the details in between pretty open.
And that's really a lot about.
And so you're kind of
writing
making that up
fiction,
as
too.
that
I mean,
that extra stuff when you're actually
Yeah.
gaming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So even when I run like the same adventure again, it's always subtly different because players have different questions, they have different goals, they want to do different things. So I can honestly say I've never run the same adventure twice.
Sure.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And you really do have to do that because again, with player experience levels, with levels of engagement, some players, they really want to get into the nitty gritty and role play and talk to everybody they can. And then some players, they talk to your first NPC. They're like, okay, I've got information. Let's go to the dungeon now.
Let's hack and slash.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah. So you never really run the same adventure twice.
Right, and also you've got your characters. If you've got an entire party of clerics, they're going to run it totally different than a total party of tanks. It's,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you never. Yeah, and with Adventures League, you never really know who's going to sit down at your table. So you do have to leave it very open in terms of like, well, I never know exactly what tactics my enemies are going to use. I never exactly know, what point they're going to focus on first. So yeah, you do have to leave it very open.
Right.
Yeah.
How important are maps to you? Do you?
50-50.
I've heard both. I've heard some. I
50-50.
used to do maps all over the place, and then I had one DM go, "Why? It's not like they actually have a map.
Yeah, it's
They go 5 days toward the cavern, and that's all you need to know."
It's kind of a 50-50. So there's sometimes if there's something about the environment that is very important for the players, if there's something about like being able to actually see the room that is important for the players, because there are some players out there who are very tactical and they're very like, can I hide behind this pillar? Can I hide behind the statue? Can I do this? Can I do that? For those kind of players, you do want to have a visual aid and give them an opportunity to kind of go in and get in all the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Right.
And for big set piece battles, I like having a map.
A grid and miniatures,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is a definite. You
For
cannot
sure.
be without
for big,
that.
for big set pieces. But then there's just times where it's just a bunch of people and we're sitting around a table and I say, okay, you enter a clearing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a demon dog on the other side. Go.
Do your thing.
So an owl bear
Too
approaches
soon?
you.
Too soon?
Yeah, too soon. It's not right. It's not right. We had to deal with demon dogs. It's
Yes.
true. Yeah,
I want to tell the story. I have to tell the story, Nick.
Okay, please.
Go for it.
So Extra Life during the
Yeah.
stream, you can watch this for yourself. But Extra Life during the stream, I had these hounds show up, and there was like a bunch of hobgoblins, and one had this big stick that he was kind of the one that I was like, okay, so you notice that he is the one who is basically kind of controlling these dogs. So Nick's character, this big flamboyant bard, is like, I'm gonna steal the stick.
He's got a stick. It's got to
Yeah,
be
you
important.
are.
It's got to be important.
Yeah, you are.
So he goes up and he steals the stick from this hobgoblin and he starts running with the stick, just kind of off into the night. And I'm like, okay. So the hobgoblin looks to one of the dogs and says, "Fetch." So Nick is
Brilliant.
just running around as this dog is just loping behind him. And
This
trying
just got very
It was
real.
so great. And that's just it. Like, that's what the DM provides, this moment that I'll always keep of, like, here I'm thinking I'm doing this great thing, and it turned into this, like,
Yeah.
wonderful moment.
And, it ended up he just took the guy's
Walking
it was,
stick.
It was a walking stick. It didn't have any
It
importance.
had no importance. And he's running
was
like
just-
mad
he
with
was
this
just running
nothing.
with this
Yeah.
stick. And
Yeah.
Love it.
I will never
Yeah.
forget just chasing Nick around with this hound, and it was.
I was
It
like,
was
I did it.
magical.
But all I got was the dog's chew toy.
That's right. And people can still watch this on Twitch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
correct.
still available on
Yeah.
OK Plays.
Yeah.
Zach's channel. It is still available for viewing. So we played about 6 hours of
it
a
was a good session.
custom written adventure. So
It was so fun.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm like like tapping my fingers. When can we do it again?
Yeah.
I miss you guys.
Yes,
When can we do
please.
it
Yes,
again?
please. More.
I know we've got to get you back to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have, I have a
You
class
gotta
to
go
run.
teach.
Yeah.
I gotta
It's
teach.
like
Talking about
Hogwarts.
Extra Life, we're going to get Adam
Adam?
Roach
Okay.
in to talk about Extra Life. So, Ashley, thank you so much.
Yes,
and
thank you.
everybody come down. And
Yes.
is this where you're going to be mostly gaming, do you think?
So I run up here on Wednesdays with the DDAL. Mike and I are definitely in talks about maybe doing some more events, maybe doing some more classes. So there are some things in the works. There are some whispers of rumors.
And should people pay attention to the DDAL to follow that, or on Edmond Unplugged? How should they
Thank
follow
you for
that?
asking that.
Both, definitely
Okay,
both.
yeah.
So we do have, there are 2 DDAL groups for Oklahoma now. There's the OKC D&D Adventurers League Facebook group, and that's the group that basically runs mostly out of Game HQ. And then I just started up a new page for the Edmond area because OKC is so big and it can be a bit of a haul to go down to there. And so
It
we now
is.
have
That's why I
games-
love this place.
Yeah.
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 We now have games running up here, so that is the Edmond D&D Adventures League Facebook group. You're free to, send a request in to join those groups. And then also, Mike is very good about posting on Edmond Unplugged on his Facebook page when we are about to do events and when we're running. Right now, we're running mostly on Wednesday nights. We're kind of in shop to look for more DMs because there is definitely a growing player base up here as people learn more about it. That's kind of why we're hosting a class today.
right.
is to-
Sure.
A packed class.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, packed,
Yes.
absolutely packed. I think we have like 1 space free.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
great.
so it's fantastic. But yeah, definitely watch those spaces because we're definitely in talks about doing special events, about doing classes. So yeah, just come on down. Let us know you're coming so that we can make sure we have a spot for you.
Can people follow you on Twitter or anything like that?
Thank you.
I don't have a Twitter set up yet. And I am kind of looking to get basically a Dungeon Master page set up for myself. Because one of the big things right now is that there are some DMs who are going professional, which is kind of something I'm looking at. I know he's tilting his head.
I
He's
want to
like,
do it professionally. That
Right?
would be the greatest job ever.
Like, what's the
but I
best
suck as a
job
DM, so
ever?
I,
You need classes.
that's right.
Yeah.
I need the
There you
classes.
go.
Yeah.
You just study with Ashley.
But
and work up
I'm
to
working on kind of getting maybe some kind of professional DM service available. So,
Yeah.
but I'm going to call it the King's Dungeon Master Service. Actually, let me check and make sure I got that right. I said I just started the page. So
Yeah.
it's brand
Girl,
spanking new.
you fine. I've been like Googling all of this stuff
Right.
as you talk
Yes.
because I want to put it
So
in the show notes.
The King's Dungeon Master would be my new Facebook page. I'm working on.
Okay.
It's still kind of in the works, but it is something I'm looking into. So if you need somebody,
Yeah.
That's great.
but yeah,
And keep track of Facebook to when games are going here.
yes,
Yeah.
And
Ashley.
also when classes are going here,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
win
Okay.
classes, yes,
All right.
classes, games, special events. They've just opened up something called Epics to game stores. Used to Wizards was kind of like, no, you can only do this at conventions, and now they're starting to be more like, hey, you want to do an epic at your game store? Go for it. Epics are big multi-table
Yes.
games where
Yeah.
everybody, you have like 5 tables who are all playing the same adventure, and shenanigans go on. And if you've never heard of Epics, just go search for them. They are amazingly bonkers, crazy fun. But yes.
Love
Absolutely.
it.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
they were thinking about having them at those here, do you think?
It's definitely something that if we can get the player base going and if there's enough interest, then I'm definitely open to doing those. I've actually I've talked to another one of the Atlanta DMs, Paige Letman, who she runs a lot of what we call battle interactives, which is basically the same idea as an epic, but we don't call them epics so we can get away with it.
Right.
Epics. They're not epics.
Yeah.
It's not an epic. It's a battle interactive.
Yeah.
But we actually did one of those at Game HQ last year with an adventure. Basically, we just took an adventure and kind of split it up to give 3 tables a slightly different flavor of what happened, and it all contributed to the big end fight against this hill giant. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm in talks with some of my other DMs, and we have plans.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no.
Ashley, we'll let you get back to your class and enjoy. And thank you so very much. If you want to go grab Adam for us, and we're gonna.
Yeah, I'll go throw something in his head.
Thanks, Ashley.
He's gonna give me a deck save.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's great.
Guys, I tell you, first off, that's why I wanted you guys on here, was because you guys have played D&D.
Oh,
so
sure,
you know what it's about, and we're, the fact that D&D has become such a huge deal, thanks to Stranger Things, thanks to Big Bang Theory, other things going on.
Yeah, it's kind of broken away from, just like you would think of like the normal bubbles of it.
Yeah.
And people that wouldn't normally have given it a second look are going, realizing what they're actually just missing out on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. I got Adam Roach. Is that right? Adam is with the Oklahoma Gamers.
Oklahoma board game community.
Oklahoma board game community.
Sweet.
And you guys were putting together the Extra Life event. First off, you guys did the Extra Life event at Game HQ last October.
We've done them at Game HQ before. We've had a few out at the Southside Mall as well, and this time it'll be partnered with Twisted Spike Brewing Company.
That's
That's awesome.
Next weekend.
February the 10th.
Okay, it's February 10th. Oh, that's right, 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That will be the next time that I have my son. I think we might actually come out for that.
There you go.
Twisted Spike is down on Broadway and 10th, correct?
I believe so, yes. 10th
in
Street.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah, right around there.
So tell us about that event. What's going on?
So we're actually going to have a lot of things going on at that event. There's going to be tons of board gaming out there. We're going to have all the organizers out, so there'll be plenty of people to teach brand new games. But we're going to run a junk art tournament. So if you ever wanted to come out, have a couple of drinks, and then play a dexterity game that involves stacking and making towers out of different wooden and plastic pieces, it'll be a good time. There's also going to be a darts tournament, and then we'll also have a few of the bigger games that are going to be demoing out there. So.
What are some? And it's video games as well. Is that right?
There's going to be some video games out there.
Okay.
I believe they're bringing in some arcade games, so there'll be some bigger arcade systems, and then the Extra Life group will have like a bay of TVs and a few of the consoles out there to be playing as well.
And for 12 hours?
For 12 hours.
Wow. So you said some of the big board games. Like, what would that include?
Yeah.
So we'll have Gaia Project out there, which is the successor to Terra Mystica. We're going to have Raiders of the North Sea, which has been a pretty big and popular new game. And then we'll have like the classics like Concordia and some of the lighter games. So your, let's say, King of Tokyo's, your Battle Sheep, your Catans, things like that.
Munchkin.
Munchkin, we'll probably have Munchkin out there as well.
Sorry. Munchkin always gets a
Dope.
fist bump for me
Yeah.
because it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's one of the only games I've ever won, so there's that. Because I'm a filthy casual.
We'll have to have you come out and win a few more games.
There you go.
See, I introduced my
The
wife to
odds
Flux.
are not in my favor, but
Oh, sure.
And Flux have you played Flux?
no.
Oh, Flux is so simple. It's just draw a card, play a card.
Yep.
And
Into it.
Then the rules change from there. We got a Monty Python one, which apparently, though, I'm the only one who can play because I'm the only one that knows all the Monty Pythons. So I got to get some Monty Python people
I
together.
challenge you.
Oh, there you go.
Let's do this.
We'll
And coupled with my husband.
We'll bring Kevin in without a
bring
doubt.
it. Yes.
It's fun. It's a fun game. So, and this is for a good cause.
It'll be for Children's Miracle Network. So
Okay.
it is a good cause. It's a great cause, and one that we do our best to support on a yearly basis.
Yeah, and that's what that was the same one you guys did. Was it the same one that you did for
It
October?
was.
Okay. I can remember that Children's Hospital, Children's Miracle Network, and this is a national organization, but this is just a local thing that's going on that you guys decided to put together.
Right. So the national organization works and partners with a lot of different local groups. So the Oklahoma board game community has partnered with them several times, and they have kind of a representative in the area that helps us function and do events for them.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Do they help with anything like promoting or things of that nature, or is it just specifically kind of a networking kind of community?
For the most part, it's networking. They will occasionally do some prize packages and some giveaways and things like that as well through their organization. But usually it's just facilitating and helping us get into locations that we might not already be able to do. And then they'll organize raffles and things for us as well. There's also going to be a fairly big raffle here. We're going to be giving out Twilight Imperium 4. So if anybody's excited about TI4, it'll be the deluxe edition with the big hardback
my
rule book and everything.
nice.
That was actually donated by Edmond Unplugged. So
Oh, that's
Excellent.
fantastic.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you, Edmond Unplugged.
Any thoughts about doing an Extra Life event here at Edmond now that it's open?
So yeah, we would definitely do that. The space is plenty big, and so that's usually the issue. Is many of our events, like our Coop events, etc., they're bringing in 100+ people.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is pretty much the only gaming store that can fit that many people at a time.
Sure.
What
sure,
other
sure.
Just events has the Oklahoma board game community got going on in
So
the next few
at
weeks?
this point, we're getting a little saturated with events. So we always have at least one event per week.
Yeah.
So we're always at Denny's on Thursday nights. We do a monthly event at Coop Ale Works. So
Which
beer
we
and
were
board
at
games.
about a few
Yeah.
months ago.
And that's
or
you
a
know,
year
8
or so
hours
ago.
in the day, so plenty of board gaming there. We've got a monthly at Microsoft, and then we have 2 monthlies at the different Barnes & Nobles in town where we do like intro to board gaming. So we play our Splendors and all the lighter games that people kind of use as a gateway. So your Ticket to Rides and your Catons, things of that nature. It's the easy stuff to teach for families. And so we really try to do that.
No, that's great. I tell you, you know what though? Like, it's from the outside, the board game community. You might not realize what depth there is to it, and like how you can follow these different board games from around the world that are coming out like constantly. So I'm curious, as somebody that does not get to board game as much as I would like, if you had a few recommendations and why you would recommend those type of games.
So for lighter or newer games,
Okay, great.
I'm definitely gonna say I would stick with like Blue Orange Games as a publisher. I think they make some great intro games. New York 1901, Battleship, which I mentioned earlier, and then they also produce Photosynthesis, which usually goes over really well with families. It's beautiful. It has these structured little trees. You move a sun around the board, and you're competing to grow the best trees throughout the game.
Nice.
So very thematic and fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Outside of that, other nice intro games that I typically teach people are your Raiders of the North Sea. It's a worker placement game, so it brings people into a mechanic they may not be used to. So if all you're used to is the roll and moves, I think this is a really easy thing to grasp. I place one worker down, I take one worker off, and those are my 2 actions for my turn.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Wow.
See,
Yeah.
that'd be so much fun. So tell us again just about next week. What's going on? Where and when and all that kind of stuff.
So next week, as the Twisted Spike.
Yes.
So that'll be February the 10th. It'll
Oh,
start
God,
at
2
noon,
weeks.
and it'll
See,
go
I'm
till
confusing
it'll go till
everybody.
midnight.
Yeah.
February 2nd, February 10th.
210.
Just
I don't know.
like
It sounds like you want us to do 2 events.
Sure.
So-
that's what it is.
Can you come to my house on February 2nd, apparently? No. February 10th at Twisted Spike on 10th and Broadway at noon, and it goes all day.
All the way
But
till
it is a
midnight.
come and go type of situation. People do not have to show up at noon.
Absolutely. There will be things starting and stopping throughout the day. Like I said, the tournaments will start at about 6 o'clock, so you'll be able to get into the junk art tournament at 6. You'll be able to get into any games throughout the day, though. So there will be starting and stopping throughout the entire 6-hour, 12-hour period.
Will it just be board games, or will there be RPG games as well?
There won't be any RPG games
Okay.
at this one, so it'll be board games, video games, and darts.
Good.
Now, I don't want to tip my hat to my priorities in life, but will there be food?
Thank you. Same.
I believe
Right
there
here.
will be food. I'm pretty sure they're talking about having some food trucks out there as
Love
well
it.
to go with Twisted Spike.
Oh,
Hey.
fantastic.
Just in case, they'll probably have beer.
Yeah, can't,
Oh,
that's
that-
You
right.
always
yeah.
get by on beer.
is
Yeah, that's
food.
true.
And can't go wrong with food trucks. We got some of the best
Yeah.
food trucks in
Right?
Oklahoma City.
Amen.
We
Yeah,
really
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Pretty.
do.
Absolutely.
Adam, thank you very much for stopping by.
Absolutely.
And you go enjoy and have fun. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to close it down, but because we're just at the hour mark. But what do you guys think of this place?
It's fantastic. I actually have been here once before already, checked it out, and we thought we were going to come here for 5 minutes. I think we left 3 hours later.
Yeah.
Oh, for
That
sure.
happens.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one, it's not just, I can't express this enough. It's not just, oh, there's another game store open up. Like, you need to come see this place just because of how they've put it together and how they've set up their model and everything like that, and how nice the place looks. I'm telling you, like, if you're worried about, like, you've got a significant other or whatever that you're nervous about taking to a game store or whatever, this place is nice.
Yeah.
This is nice.
And
Yeah.
so, like I said, it really does have that new game center smell, and
Oh,
especially
yeah.
when
Yeah.
they just started popping popcorn while we were doing this podcast.
Right?
Yeah.
That was almost deadly. That was just amazing.
I just thought that was I thought that was just me smelling that, like my second nature coming. Like I always smell.
For
popcorn.
some reason, I really want popcorn.
Yeah.
It's like,
I just wear
I'm always selling popcorn and
you.
pizza.
Always.
Burgers.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
guys.
it's just such a beautiful space.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so much more room that they can utilize dependent on what they need. There's booze, there's popcorn, I mean, we could move in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I'd be here.
I
Yeah, and it's
think-
really for you're Norman though, Nick, right? So
It's worth it.
It's
I'm
not
worth it.
yeah.
It
But
is worth it.
with Caleb and I, we're more of the northwest side. You're
Yeah.
northeast, but north side of the metro. This is so much better. I love going down to Game HQ. I love going to Luton XP.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
nice to have a new place that we can choose to go to
Yeah.
rather than having going all the way south side, south of
Right.
I-40.
Like, I would go to Luton XP, but
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't go more than once a month. That was just too taxing because
Sure.
Yeah.
you're
Same.
already spending 6 hours there, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but now that something like this is here, man, this is gonna open it up for me. Yeah.
I'm gonna pitch lock-ins. Can I say that? Like I want
Dude,
lock-ins.
we are so on the same level today. We're like beer, food, lock-in.
Yes, this is gonna
all
happen.
Of these
See,
things.
see,
Yeah.
my son just had a lock-in at his.
And I've
at-
got this whole idea about like an event because I'm an
Yeah.
event planner.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I kind of have corporate backing for that kind of
There you
thing.
go.
So I might be able to put together something like that.
My,
I
my,
love
my
this.
son had
Julie, if you're
had his first
listening.
lock-in at his church, and I said, one of my lock-ins, my first lock-ins at church was playing D&D in the basement of my church, and with
Wow.
Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, we're Methodists. We're pretty open
Right.
to we're pretty open to that kind of stuff.
Loosey-goosey.
So yeah.
If you're going to
that would've
open
never-
portals to Satan, you do it downstairs.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well,
That's
that's
right.
when I said I would play with my dad. I
That
played
way
with
we
my
can lock
dad
the door.
in the church
Right.
Oh, wow.
that I grew up in.
We're
That's
gonna restrict your
delightful.
alignments though, folks. I'm so sorry.
That's right. Everybody must be lawful
Right.
good.
Yeah, everyone's lawful good. It's totally fine. Totally fine.
Guys, thank you. Anything exciting going on with Red 6 to Golden Corral
Is
that we should be
anything
talking about?
Not exciting.
Yeah, it always is.
I mean, Red 6, it's just excitement.
We're trying to put together a marathon run here in
What?
Edmond. No, we're
No.
not.
I was like running.
Look, I just,
Only
like,
when
I've seen
Jane-
the
allowed to
video of
lie.
you guys running. I
Sure.
do not recommend.
That's fair point. That's a fair point.
Yeah, that might be.
I run.
There was a lot of editing involved in that too, to make it look that good.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the funniest training montages I've ever seen in my life.
Sorry, it was glorious.
That's
the
fantastic.
truth.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
No running.
No. At the moment, we've got some stuff we mentioned on a latest episode that we're looking to do a giveaway soon, but
Yeah.
but we won't give any more details away on that on this episode.
Yeah.
Tune into Red 6 to Golden
That
Corral.
means you have to tune into their
That's right.
podcast.
There you
See
go.
how that works?
Yes, and that's
The
why it has
network
nothing
for
to
a
do with our
reason,
humor.
peeps.
But yes, absolutely, please do. But thank you so much for having us on.
yeah,
like
thank
you
you.
guys are great.
We were talking about gaming. We really wanted you guys on because I know you guys have.
We just
Big
really
good
wanted to
game.
have them on.
Well, you wanted somebody
really
that
wanna
wasn't,
hang out.
I mean, some people have different views about Dungeons and Dragons, and I get that you've got to not include them.
Yeah,
Not mentioning Josh Under's name or Aquaman or anything like that.
Oh, bless his
no
little
names like
heart.
that.
No names like that. No
He
names like
knows
that.
he's wrong. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh yeah. We couldn't leave without taking a shot at Josh,
it's
right?
not- I can't. It's like
Dude, he's not here. It's like it's
the best
almost
time.
Like
Right.
kicking,
Yeah.
It's like kicking puppies. Like
Yeah.
He's not
Oh,
here
love
to
it.
defend
It's
himself.
easier when he's not here. Yeah.
And I take plenty of pot shots at him on Twitter. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine.
that's
Yeah,
great.
that's right.
Yeah.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you so very much. Where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
Do it, Nick.
You can find us. Go to the Twitters, and then,
And then there's the @ symbol.
@ symbol.
There's like a red RED.
RED.
Number 6.
Like the color.
the number 6.
Yeah, like a number. And TO.
TO.
Like
As in
2.
going toward
Yeah.
Yeah.
the store.
GC.
GC. That's
GC.
it.
Yeah. Red
six
6 to
to
GC.
GC.
Yeah.
And that's Twitter, and you can find us on Facebook as well at Red 6 Golden Corral.
And you guys have a website.
Yes.
And they sell-
www.red6togoldencorral.com.
Right.
There you
And
go.
Spelled out.
that's where you can get the epic T-shirts.
Yeah.
Well, we run Teespring campaigns, so they only last for a little while. So you have to follow both the website and the Twitters to be in on those campaigns. But
Yeah.
right now we don't have one going. But
You're breaking my heart right now.
I know.
'cause that, the one that
That was
All
awesome.
of that right there. Need.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
There you go.
Love it.
So that's going to do it for our show. You can find us on our website at OkieGeek.com, also on Twitter and Facebook at Okie Geek Podcast. That's also the address for our Gmail account. Would love to hear from you. You can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. Devin, where can people find you on the World Wide Web?
Oh my goodness. You can usually just find me on the Twitterverse at WUBA. That's Whiskey Unicorn Victor Victor Alpha.
There you go. And you can find me at KOSU Michael C. Be sure and subscribe to the podcast. Also rate us and leave a comment. Until next time, along with Caleb, Nick, Mike, Ashley, Adam, and everybody here at Edmond Unplugged. I'm Michael Cross,
I'm Devin Green.
reminding you to keep calm and geek on.